Good afternoon. Good morning. My name is Pat Auth. I'm the director of the Drexel University. Used to be the Hahnemann University. Used to be the Allegheny University Physician Assistant Program here in Philadelphia. With the increased number of PA programs in the United States and the increased amount of responsibilities we have as PA educators and administrators, now more than ever, we need to develop really good strategies to retain faculty and to help us work at our peak performance. I want to thank Joe Wieseski and the committee that asked me to do this TED Talk. I'm passionate about retaining good faculty, and I'm passionate about helping us work at peak performance. So in 2007 was an article that Glenn Foster and Dennis Blessing wrote, and this article was published in the Physician Assistant Education Journal. And in this article, they said that 9 to 10% of our faculty leave their job each year. In the 2011-2012 annual report, that went up to 11%. Of those 11% that are leaving, 20% are leaving to go back to clinical practice. 18% are leaving because of job dissatisfaction or salary dissatisfaction. So we are losing close to 38% of our faculty each year. And I guarantee you, some of those individuals are leaving because of burnout. Herbert Freudenberger is the first person in the late 1970s to coin the term burnout. He was a psychologist. His body of work was as a result of researching healthcare providers who were working in the addiction area and also in free clinics. He defined burnout as physical and mental exhaustion. So I just want you to remember those two words, physical and mental exhaustion. You're going to hear that over and over again in the next 15 minutes. Do you feel that right now? All right, you're going to feel it better in 15 minutes. This is a cycle of burnout that came as a result of Dr. Freudenberger's research. So does everybody remember the first year, 2 years, or 3 years that they were a PA educator? Or maybe you are in that first 3 years. High hopes, high energy, maybe some unrealistic expectations. Well, if that high energy goes unchecked, it can slowly move into a stagnation period. And the stagnation period is characterized by an individual who cannot sustain that level of enthusiasm. They cannot sustain that level of workload. And what happens in that stagnation period is individuals become resistant to work or become callous. The frustration phase, if the stagnation phase continues, it moves into a frustration phase where individuals actually feel like they just can't really get up and go to work in the morning. And a natural defense mechanism for frustration is apathy, where you'll hear individuals say, a job is a job is a job. I just need to come to work because I need to have health insurance. I just need to come to work because my kids are getting tuition remission. This is the cycle of burnout. Now, when you peel away those stages, you can look at the signs of burnout. You're going to see these signs in the frustration phase. You're going to see them in the stagnation phase, in the apathy phase. So I became the program director at the Hahnemann PA program in 2000. I love that program. It was the program I went to PA school. I feel like a federal employee. I've never left. And I remember when I became the program director, there was lots and lots of enthusiasm. And then in 2003, I had a dentist appointment, and I was getting a root canal. And I was in the dentist's chair, and I remember this like it was yesterday. I'm on the chair, and I'm thinking, boy, does it feel really good to close my eyes at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Boy, does it feel really good that I don't have anybody knocking on my door. Now, granted, the drill was drilling, you know what I mean? And I could still remember the music. I'm not the smartest guy in the bunch. I should have known at that point I was emotionally exhausted. But like many of us, you just persevere. So then I want to get you to now it's 2008, and at our program, we have the students in Lecture Hall A, and they introduce themselves. And you know how it's a really exciting time when you see the students for the first time, and you just can't wait to know, did they accept us? But I had Gretchen Fox, I had Pepe Barcega, and I had all the faculty in the front. The only thing I could think about when I saw those 75 students was how many of them are going to complain about the program? How many of them are going to come into my office and say the lecture went too fast or the lecture objectives didn't match the exam? Does this sound familiar? I was clearly in this depersonalization phase, this cynicism, the disengagement with the people we serve. And then, again, if that goes unchecked, you move into this lack of personal satisfaction where you really don't get any satisfaction from the work you're doing every day. If you experience those burnout signs, it's a very good predictor that you are going to leave your job in 1 year. And that's the reason why we're here today, to help us as PA educators to identify those signs so that we can implement change. Here's Eric. Chronic stress leads to burnout. Chronic stress leads to the emotional exhaustion, the physical exhaustion, the cynicism, the disengagement, which can lead to burnout. The characteristics of stress are this overengagement with the people you serve. It's this sense of high anxiety and the sense of urgency that everything has to get done right away. And the primary factor that is the primary area that it affects is your physical health. Burnout is characterized by a feeling of hopelessness, a feeling of helplessness. Your emotions are blunted, and the primary area that it damages are your emotions. So we are going to fix this. I'm especially pleased to talk to you about Maslow's and Leader's theory on how we can address burnout, and specifically us as PA educators. And what's great about this theory, it's the first theory that talks about a job and culture mismatch. What it doesn't talk about is the job skill sets in the job. So what we really need to do is look at the environment that we're working in to see how we can change the environment to help prevent burnout. There are 6 domains that they talk about, and we're going to go through each one of these domains, and I'm going to link those domains to strategies that we can implement in our own PA program. Okay, we are at our best when we are in a community. We share the good times and the bad times. We share the praise. We share humor. And here we are, competent, excellent PA clinicians. And what do? We jump into PA education. We're novice. We're learning new skill sets. And as a result of moving from a team-based approach delivering healthcare to at times working in silos in your PA program, you lose that sense of community. Now granted, I understand we all attend faculty meetings and we all do have retreats, but there are days when it's just one of us in front of the class running a healthcare policy course, when there's one of us in front of the class trying to recruit an emergency medicine rotation. So it's those silos that we'd like to break down. So I had this idea, and the idea that I had is, wouldn't it be wonderful if we had a national faculty development mentorship? But this is a new faculty development mentorship. This is a mentorship program that could be sponsored by PAEA. PAEA has done a wonderful job of creating communities for new program directors. But the idea that I have is it could actually be a mentorship program for specific areas, such as scholarship, such as research, such as work-life balance. And then coming in here this morning, I thought, wouldn't it be great if you had one person who could just listen to you? You know, at the end of the day, you could just pick up the phone and you could just have someone listen to you. But I really do believe the way to retain faculty members that are novice and also faculty members that are mature is to have a mentorship program at every phase in your career. Fairness. With fairness, we are living in an imperfect world. We are imperfect people, and we're trying to be perfect educators. When I was 20 years old, my father and I started running together. And he was 55. I was 20. I was starting to run to lose weight. My dad started to run to keep his resting heart rate between 56 and 61 beats per minute, okay? So my dad and I we did the first 5K road race together. It was in the spring that we first started running, and we finished the race, and at the time we finished the race, they were picking up the orange cones. The race directors were picking up the orange cones, you know, and so my father said to me, he goes, Pat, every race needs a caboose, every train needs a caboose, every race needs someone to come in last. We were the people that came in last. So why is it, as faculty members, when we read our student evaluations, we beat ourselves up? Why? We should have time to develop our craft, okay? I think one of the most unfairness about our position is when faculty members read their student evaluations. So I invite you to think about implementing in your curriculum a way for students to give constructive feedback to the faculty members. And I want to call a question. The question I want to call is, should student evaluations be anonymous? Unfairness fuels burnout in two ways. It fuels burnout because people become emotionally exhausted, and the second, you get cynical about your job. Values. We've heard about values all the time. So in this theory of burnout, the researchers talked about the values of the individual at the job and the values of the organization. I really would like to flip it. And this is specifically to the program directors, the deans, the academic coordinators that are out there. I'd like you to think about asking your faculty member, what is it that they value in their position? What is it that they value in their faculty position? Ask the question to your faculty, what is it that they need in their position to have work-life balance? Find out what their personal aspirations are. I guarantee you, you're going to be surprised by the answers. You might hear things such as, I'm caring for a friend, I'm caring for a partner, I'm caring for a loved one, I need some flexibility in my work schedule so that I can take care of my personal needs. You might hear things such as, to have work-life balance, I just need to ride the horse every other Friday. I can make that happen. I can make it happen. I can change the environment to meet the values of the faculty member. So I invite you to go back to your program and ask that question. Now, for the individuals who are faculty members here, I would ask you to see what you could do for your program director to help give them a better work-life balance. I heard a story several months ago at the new faculty development workshop, and a program director was going on a vacation, and one of the faculty members was able to call IT and allow them to have an expanded email so they wouldn't get, all the emails wouldn't get clogged up. That's a wonderful way to show value to the program director. Okay, so how many of us here, and I get it, we all wish we could have more faculty, right? But how many of us here checked our emails this morning? Oh my gosh. So how many of us here are clinical coordinators? I love you. I am a recovering clinical coordinator. I know. From my perception, who leaves their jobs first? Clinical coordinators. The lifespan of us clinical coordinators is how long? 18 months. We need to do something about it, okay? I think it's actually an easy solution. What I propose is that we have a shared workload for didactic and clinical faculty. The reason I believe clinical coordinators are leaving their jobs too quickly is because the demands are 24/7 and there's no time for them to recover from that emotional and physical exhaustion. So the idea would be to have a shared workload, to actually have clinical faculty teaching in the didactic phase, and having didactic faculty helping the clinical faculty. So an example of the didactic faculty helping the clinical faculty would be doing site visits, would be recruiting and retaining sites. Even if just one faculty member in the didactic phase provided a lead to the individual in the clinical phase, that would help offset some of the workload. Okay? So having a shared workload, I think, is an important way to retain those faculty, especially in the clinical phase. So that's my thing for the clinical, right? All right. So when I became a faculty member, it was back in 1991. I took a $15,000 pay cut. Still would do it today, okay? I know that our salaries are nowhere comparable to the clinical faculty, and I do believe we're getting better at getting the salaries where they should be. However, research shows if an individual leaves their job because of salary dissatisfaction or because of job dissatisfaction, it's not always about the salary, but what it is about are their social rewards. And let me give you an example of the social rewards. The social rewards are nothing more than just telling somebody they did a really good job, telling someone that they did a job that could be considered really excellent. Social rewards could be writing a memo to a faculty member saying, I really appreciate the fact that you're doing all this community service. Your effort is recognized and I appreciate it. So I would invite you today, if you go to presentations, to actually just send an email to an individual saying it was a really good presentation, you inspired me. Or when you go back to your faculty, maybe nominate somebody for a PAEA award or a state teaching award. But those social rewards are so important. I can tell you, I still keep a card in my knapsack there from a student who said they really valued a lecture. And there are many days I'll pull that card out and it gets me through a really bad day. The last thing is control. I'm still working on this. I don't know how to give up control, but I'm working hard at it. We are a community of problem solvers. We're a community of problem solvers. I believe as clinicians and as educators, we are at our best when we get ahead of a problem. How do we get ahead of a problem with burnout? We gain control of the research. We find out what the latest research is out there about burnout. I just came from a presentation from Rush University, and they did a wonderful presentation on servant leadership and burnout. There is excellent research out there about transformational leaders and burnout, personality types and burnout, career plateauing or peaking and burnout. So I would invite you to bring this latest research to your faculty meetings, to have a presentation at PAEA. If you're a data junkie and you love surveys, there's a wonderful survey put out by Mashlow. It's an inventory for educators on their predictability of burnout. That's something that you can implement in your faculty when you go back home. I love being a PA. I absolutely love it. If I wasn't a PA, I think I would still be a lifeguard. And I want to be a PA and want to serve my students, I want to serve the faculty, and I want to serve the patients when I take my last breath. But I'm not sure we can do it unless we pay attention to these signs of burnout and we continue to have the conversation. Thank you.